are. It's Sunday lunch stroke tea now. We've got another cracking Monarchs legend for you this week. I'm John McGilvery.
And my name's Liam Rudden, and as ever, I'll be monitoring, along with John, all your questions for the one and only Dave Trownson. Going back to the Powder Hall era, that's when I started going to see the Monarchs. John?
Yeah, thanks, Liam. Yeah, always a pleasure to meet a legend, and we've got Dave Trownson with us this week. Dave, thank you very much, first and foremost, for joining us. How are you?
Yeah, fine, thank you. Yeah, doing okay. Just getting a bit fed up with the lockdown now, but we're getting there. Especially with having two kids in the house.
Were you one of those boys out at the pub yesterday, or are you sensible to stay at home?
No, I didn't bother because I thought it'd be packed anyway. So besides that, there's too many people together, and so no. And you can't wear a mask while you're drinking anyway, can you? Unless you got a straw.
It impedes it a bit, Dave. I found it tricky.
Yeah, I know. I have to put a straw up, put a hole in the mask and put the straw through.
That'll be the next thing. They'll be selling sets.
Oh yeah, they'll be selling. Yeah,
a straw, you know, and you want both.
It'll be on Amazon soon.
Yeah. How has lockdown been for you, Dave?
Sorry.
How has lockdown been for you? Have you been able to get out at all?
It's probably better than I thought it would be, apart from missing the sport, of course, but and of course the Speedway as well. But with the children and that, they were very good actually. We got them riding. Two of them couldn't ride a bike, but we're gonna in 3 weeks of the lockdown. We got them riding about stabilisers, and so we caught up with a lot of things we didn't have time to do before.
Yeah, I think that was the common thing. A lot of people just found a way to do these sort of things and just say, look, this is what it is, so let's get on with it. And
that's what we did. But we're lucky because, I have to go out every day with the dogs. But with the woods, there's a path at the back, there's a cycle track, and there's woods at the back. So we're out. I just go in the woods and we're out of the way, so we don't see many people anyway.
Yeah, sorry, Liam, I jumped in there before you.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say that you've got lots of kids around you, Dave. You look after children, is that right? That's part of what you do now.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. The wife's been doing it for 10 years. But I mean, I help out totally now as well. We've been retired. And
is it fostering that you do?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So vital work, really, when we think about it.
Oh yeah. They keep you going. They keep the knackered at the end of the day.
Do they keep you young? That's the main thing.
I hope so.
Dave, before we get started, we had when we put your picture out there earlier to say we're doing this with you.
Are you sure it's me?
Who's that?
Are you sure it's me?
Simon Cross commented.
What did he?
He says you knew how to wear that hat, and you could quite easily be mistaken for a Frenchman. So was he talking merde, or did you say that was fair comment?
Just a spare comment, I think. You know, he's a top lad though, Simon.
Good man. So, there you go, Liam.
We've got a question coming in. Well, we've got a comment coming in already, Dave.
Oh dear.
David Lee said that you were a better Speedway rider than your old man. Than his old man, sorry. Does that mean anything to you?
Who was it, sorry?
David Lee said that you were a better Speedway rider than his old man.
Oh, I don't know. I can't comment on that, can I? I'm not going to start a family squabble.
We'll go to where it all kind of started for you. You watched Bellevue as a boy, I understand, and friends with the Collins and the Morton boys. So I suppose it was only really one way you were going.
Yeah, I mean, Pete Collins's Peter's father started taking us in '63. I think we saw Peter Craven about 4 times before he was killed at Meadowbank. And then, we just carried on going from there every week. Then we just loved it more and more. But luckily for us, his father owned a farm, and so we had. I mean, my father got me a motorbike when I was about 11 years old, 10 years old. Peter had motorbikes around the farm from when I can remember as a young kid. And I just kept the bike at the farm. So not like today, we had somewhere to ride the bike all the time, you know. So we were quite fortunate. And then of course there was all Peter's brothers. There was Dave and Chris Morton, and there was Steve McDermott, and there was Andy Reid. I mean, what used to naff us off was they always used to go on about the lads down in Kent on 7-0. So I think we'd give them a run for the money any day of the week. And I'd have only been a reserve.
So where was it then? You got your first meetings then. Where did it kind of all start for you? How did you get into the team?
At where? Sorry, first ride.
Yeah, because I've got you down as Bellevue at 74. Yeah.
What happened was I was doing grass track for 2 years because I couldn't afford. I was only 16. We wanted to race straight away. Peter had already started, his dad had already got in racing, so we all wanted to race. So there was Peter. Then by the time Peter did, I started the same year. But I saved up from being young, working on the farms, and got I was in the 250 class. So Pete was, and Dave Mort then started as well at the same year because we were all a similar age. The three of us, the rest are all younger. And then the second year I was racing as well, I got a 500, but the thing was it was hopeless. It was the right claptrap, and this guy that used to race scrambling in Great Britain in the 50s and 60s, he let me use new Gordon that he'd got at the time, which would have been 72, I think. And I went out. Actually, PC and Chris Pierce was in the same meeting, and I got into the final and I split the two of them in the final, which is never heard of in them days because they was unbeatable. It's just because of the bike I was sat on. You know, the thing went like a bloody rocket. And then he recommended me to Dent Oliver, and I went along to Bellevue. They took me in the pits. To be fair, I can't remember who was racing that day. It was all a blur to me, really. And then I was expecting I thought I was just going to get a trial on the bike. I didn't have a Speedway bike then. They were just going to give me a trial after the meeting. And I was just stood around talking with PC, and Dent Oliver walked over and he said, "Hey laddie, go and get your leathers on." And pardon, he said, "Go and get them on. You're out in 10 minutes in the first race in the second half." And they put me in you used to have heats. Do you remember the Bellevue Colts? You won't remember them, I don't think. I've
heard of them.
Yeah, I mean, there was people like, there was Eric Broadbelt, Terry Kelly, and all them people that were in the team. Ian Indle at that time was they were all the lads that was in the Colts. And he used to have them racing in the second half. He had 2 heats, and then the top 2 went into a final. And he just stuck me on a Speedway bike. Next minute, I'm going out everywhere I've been watching since I've been like 10 years old. All of a sudden, I'm going to the tapes. And that was my first time on a Speedway bike. And I just got chucked straight out.
So what was it what was the feeling like then for that first time you're going up to tapes? You say you've been watching since you were 10 years old. Yeah. Was your bag of nerves, or were you cool as a cucumber?
No, I wasn't cool. I think I was more excited than anything. Just the fact that I was out there and what I wanted to do. And as luck would have it, what I found out later, it was they said the track spare, but it was a bike that Soren Joshua after, which he was no slouch. And I just dropped the clutch away I went, and I got second in the heat, and I got in the final, got second in the final. And you can imagine the lads that was in there, quite a few established riders. And I think I got a £50 check and a little trophy, and I thought, oh, this is easy, isn't it?
That's it.
Then I found out it wasn't.
It wasn't quite that easy the rest of the time, no.
Dave, that was obviously a dream come true, but when did that dream first form in your head when you were watching the Speedway? Was there a point where you sort of realised that that's what you wanted to do?
Probably from about 64, 65, all of us, like I say, we was all bike mad. That's all I just wanted to do. I mean, like every other kid, I had the pictures on the wall, and I just got, like anything else, you just visualise yourself being on the bike type thing. That was it. I mean, me and Peter Collins went to the, I don't know what they call it now. In them days when we was at school, you had to go to the careers officer, they called it. Yeah. And he was the right pig of a teacher to start with, but no one liked him. And we both walked in, and me and PC both got thrown out. He said, "What do you want to do when you leave school?" And we both said we wanted to do Speedway. And Pete went back 5 years later when he was world champion and reminded him that he was glad he didn't take his advice. And
brilliant, eh?
Yeah. That's the way to do it. And when you got that first ride, Dave, and you got your cheque for your £50 coming second and what have you, was there a rush to sign you then? Was it an easy road, or was it difficult from there to get actually into a team?
Well, no. What happened then? I just started riding regular. After about a month, I know there was a few noses put out, which happens in every sport. You know that when someone turns up, and I was rather they give me the bike to use. I just used that same bike. I kept it then for a while, and I just maintained it, looked after it. I didn't know what I was doing then, of course. And I was just riding the second half, and then he started putting me against. They used to have a race in the second half where they put 2 riders against the away reserves. And after about 3 weeks, I was being put into these races, which was above the races I was to start with. And then next minute, I got a phone call. They asked me to go along, and I was reserved for a World Championship qualifying round, qualifier at Bellevue, and he put me in as a reserve. I think I got to ride it, and I think it was 2 points in it. So it just suddenly gone from nothing to, of course, the Speedway Star was saying things like the next PC and all the rest of the rubbish. And then Boston phoned up and asked if he had a rider that he could let, if a rider he could loan them. And they sent me over, and they didn't even think I was going to turn up, and I actually started 25 yards back against all their top lads at the time, the 2 reserves and the 2 that are trying to get in the team. I started 25 yards back, and I passed them all on the 3rd lap. I passed every one of them. He says, and the guy that took me, drove me there, it's the guy that introduced me to Denton Oliver, told him that I hadn't signed a bloody contract. So he kept pestering them to go there, and I said, no, I've not seen Denton Oliver. And anyway, eventually I ended up going, that's how I went there, and Denton Oliver went bloody mad. And that's how I started at Boston.
So you went from Boston, and then you spent Berwick 1974 and 75. What was it like at Berwick at that time then, and who were the key guys that you were riding alongside then?
You mean Willie? well, yeah, Willie was a brilliant guy, wasn't he? I believe he's just passed away just recently, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Willie Templeton.
Yeah.
I heard a while ago just passed away. It's a shame. He was a top guy. The ones then was like Colin Farquharson. Jim Wells was there then as well, the other New Zealander. Graham Jones is another one. The first year, I got there through the kindness, the good word I got by Rob Hollingworth, because John Docherty was manager then, and he was talking to Rob Hollingworth, who wrote for Boston, and he was asking, he'd seen me around the second half, and he was asking what was I like on the away tracks and that, and he told him blah 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 and everything else. So through Rob Hollingworth, because he rode it the year before on loan, so John Docherty knew him. So I just went up there for a trial, and I got in the team, and I was never out of a team after that. And then, of course, the second year at Berwick, if they'd have kept that team together the following year, it all got broke up. They'd have had a hell of a team with Steve Finch there and all them.
And then in '76, you were out for almost a year, I believe, with an injury, and you should have been riding for Stoke. What was the story?
I rode twice for Stoke, once home, once and away. And that's how I ended up at Edinburgh, because Mike Parker reopened Stoke then there. It was him that was running it. And so, yeah, and what I was doing, believe it or not, I was only reserve at Stoke. Next minute, the guy that was, Chris Harris, his name was, Harrison. I don't remember him or not. I used to manage a lot around in the middle of Wolverhampton. And he was managing Stoke at that time as well, till they got another manager. And he took me to Wolverhampton, and I was actually racing for Wolverhampton. I did more minutes for Wolverhampton in the top division than what I did for Stoke. And it was one of them. I had an average of about 4 riding. PC managed to pull a few strings, and he got me a Westlake engine, because I at the beginning of that season I was still riding a 2-valve Jowler. I never went on the 4 valves. And anyway, he got me one. And of course, I was doing quite well at Wolverhampton, and I should have really stayed at Wolverhampton. But well, I mean, but that's what happened. I was riding at Leicester, and believe it or not, a guy called Giuseppe Marzotto put me through the fence. Of course, he's the guy that now owns GM. He was there for a year. He just didn't turn the bike. He just shoved me straight through, and it shattered my arm to pieces. So I was out all year. From about halfway through that year, that's the year PC won the title. I was actually helping him mechanic when there was no one else to go with him. I travelled all over the place, in Sweden, everywhere. And then the following year, which of course Mike Parker still had my contract, and he said to me, "I'm opening Edinburgh. Do you want to go there?" And as you lot say, that was it after that.
Yeah. We've got some messages in already, Dave. David Harley says, Dave was my hero as a kid at Powder Hall. His consistency and loyalty and solid scoring was the core of the Edinburgh team in the 1980s. And he remembers he used to race for Reading at the same time as Edinburgh and asks, were you the original double upper?
Probably one of the... Yeah, I don't think there was that many doing it then. As you know, you had to be asked. And why I don't know. I mean, I could obviously I couldn't do as well, but I was still scoring points in the top division as well. I always did do. But then again, you see, I could, if my bikes were right, I could always get out the start with the big lads. And that was an option. You could get out the start in the top divisions. Well, top division them days, not now. And as that come about with Reading, funny enough, you want the story, I was at the garage at Eastford, you know, Ian Sned at Eastford Motors. I used to have a workshop in the corner there. I stayed up there. I did my bikes up there a lot of the time. And I got a phone call. It's from Dave Lanning. And he just, because he was a part of Reading in them days. And I thought he was joking at first. And he just said to me out of the blue, he said, look, he said, I wonder if you fancy coming riding for Reading. We need somebody. I said, me? He said, yeah. And then he told me the turns, which was absolutely colossal. But what they'd done is, everyone was on the same amount of points home or away. If you won, if you lost, you was on a third of the money. Yeah. So if you scored 12, if you lost the match, you weren't a happy bunny. But it worked because that's the year they won the league.
Yeah.
So I said, yeah, and I mean, it was Martin Ashby that broke his shoulder, and so I replaced Martin Ashby at Reading, and I think that season, he ended up with a 7-point something average.
So in 1977, Dave, you become an Edinburgh Monarch and spent 11 seasons with us. Obviously, as we know, you started with a bang. Let me just check. You scored 0. And the first match, what happened there, mate? The bike I was riding, the track was about a foot deep. I just couldn't. Actually, later on, I could only ride Powder Hall when there was dirt on it. But at that particular time, I just couldn't get around. The bike just wasn't set up right. There was nothing right. Everything was new. I got it sorted eventually, but it took me to get a couple of half decent engines. It took me to end of 78 into 79 season before I started getting my engines together, really.
What are your first memories of Powder Hall, Dave? What do you remember of the stadium?
I remember the place being packed in that first meeting, yeah. I remember coming, because I mean, of course, at first, you probably wouldn't have seen the changing rooms. It was just where they kept the rabbits and the hares and all the bloody tools. There wasn't even a changing room in them days at first. Because it was where I know you go in the pits and you had where the riders went on your right if you're facing the track, and on the left there was like a shed there, wasn't it? That's where it changed at first.
And what was the track like? Was it a good track from the start?
Yeah, listen, we were lucky. We had once he took over, we had Alan Bishop doing it all that day, and he had it perfect most weeks. The odd time it just wouldn't be right, and that's because that's when he was team manager. He'd be away, if we're down south somewhere, he wouldn't have a lot of time on the track. But he was a top guy with tracks, Alan Bidget was.
We've got some figures here, Dave, from Mike Hunter. Mike did a wee bit of research for us. You joined Edinburgh in 77, 11 seasons, 333 league matches, second only behind George Hunter for turnouts in the league for the Monarchs, and 2,705 league points. Could you ever have imagined that on that first night when you took to the track at Powder Hall and scored zilch?
Yeah, it's funny because my last match I scored a maximum, didn't I?
You're thinking about in here. He's like, boys, come on, I got it licked by the end.
Everyone forgets that one. No, I do remember 0 because I was driving home thinking, God, what the hell have I done? It's a long way to travel for nothing. No, it didn't. Yeah, it was not only a norm because I scored none. That was all. It never crossed my mind to try and that I couldn't ride it or I couldn't get around or it didn't fit to me anything. I probably loved the place from day one. Really, I wouldn't say. I meant the place. I didn't mean the track. I meant, you know, the people and everything have always been fantastic to me. Always, good or bad. Bad meetings all.
You ended this season. Sorry, I mean you've ended the season with a 6-point average. You know, so you've obviously got the place dialed in a bit and finished the season strongly.
Yeah. I don't remember much about the end, to be perfectly honest, so I can't answer you on that one.
What we say about the 1970s.
Don't forget, I'm getting old now.
Well, you wouldn't have seen Mike Hunter last week, Dave. Honestly, just off the top of his head, no problem. What a memory that man has.
You're not joking, yeah. Oh. You don't need any. He wouldn't have been looking it up. He'd have already known him.
It's all in there with Mike. Some man. John Mitchell's asking Dave, do you remember much about the 1978 Monarchs? Such a strong team on paper. Hawley, Brian Collins, Harkins, McDermott started off scoring 60+ points every meeting, but tailed off and finished 15th in the league. So what was the kind of story behind that then?
It was the away form, really, wasn't it? For what I can remember, but it wasn't just that. I mean, to be fair, you'll have to excuse me, and I'm not insulting anybody. I can't remember whether, because I think the top three in the average at the time was Burt, was it Jack Millen and Charlie Monk, and then there was Brian. But I think Brian's average must have been close to them anyway. I don't know. I think it was. I mean, there was just so many different personalities there as well, wasn't there? I mean, Bert's Bert, Brian's as he is. You know, the top lad. Jack was just absolutely mental. You know, but Charlie Monk, I don't think he even spoke to anybody. I don't think, or very, very rarely anyway. So it was. I think it was just all the different. I don't know. You can't. But like you say, the team Mike Parker put together in that, it should have been in the top 5 with ease, really. Even though the league was strong in them days, but you can't put your finger on it. Why? No.
There must be a story behind this, Dave. So I'm intrigued. Louise Slight has messaged in saying Davy Slight wants to know if you remember what happened to his bike trailer going through the Tyne Tunnel.
I don't actually.
Is it still
my bike or his?
He's saying about the bike trailer, his bike trailer.
Oh yeah, it come undone. We're suddenly going along and someone was sat on the back and they said that it was actually the wire to the lights that was actually guiding it. Luckily, we weren't going we weren't going the speed we normally go at, because I think it was in traffic or something. If we didn't go on the speed we normally would have done, the bike would have been wiped out. We hadn't put the trailer on properly. We hadn't put the trailer hitch on properly, and it hit a bump and it bounced. And it went under the car. Luckily, because we was in traffic, we braked and it went under the car and latched onto the bottom panel of the car.
Pamela Schoolin says that you were her favourite rider at Powder Hall, and she remembers getting her photo taken with you as a kid. And John Mitchell says Dave was in the first race I ever saw at Powder Hall in 1977, and he scored a 5-1 with Bert Harkins. What a servant he was to the club. There you go.
Yeah, I think I rode number 2 for a while, didn't I, with Bert?
Christine Graham also remembers that you beat Peter Collins at Powder Hall, and it was a brilliant race.
Yeah. Oh, I remember that one. He called me a cheating only because the referee counted to 2, let the tapes up, and I let fly, and he was still at the tapes. And then, well, they do it a lot now, don't they? The Polish League and that, where the refs are always trying to anticipate it. But in them days, especially more so in Scotland, not in England, you knew the referees and how many seconds and what they did before they let them up, and if you could time it just right, you could get away with it, and I did.
Paul Whiteman asks, Dave is one of my favourite Monarchs from when I started watching Speedway. I was a member of his fan club. And what was the name of the helmet you won that had wings on it from a 1-versus-1 race, a 1-on-1 race?
I don't know.
Well, at least you've been honest. Somebody will know. Somebody will tell.
Somebody will know that.
Mike,
somebody will know.
If Mike's watching, he'll know.
He'll know, yeah. Tell him to phone in.
You were the skipper, Dave, from 82 to 86, and we had Sam Masters on previously as well, and we spoke about captains and the benefit of them. Mike mentioned Derek Snedden in his 2014 year and how pivotal he was as skipper. What do you think are good attributes? Certainly, what did you take into it and say, look, if I'm going to be captain of this club, then I need to be doing kind of X, Y, and Z?
I think more than anything, I think with any team captain, no matter what sport you're in, I think a lot of it's to do with your personality as well, and to not just, as you are and what you do. Obviously, you're trying out, like you said, some riders just go in, turn up, do the job, and go home. Some riders will try and help somebody else if they can. I mean, when I first come to Edinburgh, there was a lot of, like we said, there was Brian, there was Charlie. But like Brian would have helped you, or Bert would have helped you, something like that. But I mean, Charlie Monk wouldn't bother no matter what's going on. So, but everyone's a different. What I mean is, I'm not putting them down. Everyone's a different personality, aren't they? I mean, but by then I was made captain. I just loved the place anyway. But that was just me. You put everything. I always got taught to try and put everything in you can into whatever you do.
The consensus seems to be that it was a silver helmet, Dave.
Oh, right, okay.
The consensus here on Facebook. And David W.L. Smith, bracket Smithy, says, Hi Trapper, you're looking well. Remember the cracking hot Sunday afternoon we beat Milden Hall at West Row when they and us were strong teams. Great days at Powder Hall and on the road.
Yeah, there was, yeah. Yeah, do you know Smithy?
No.
No, you don't. No, he's a top lad. Roger Lambin married his sister.
Ah, right, okay. Roger Lambert married his sister. There we go.
Ah, of course. Yeah.
Smithy was a big character around the pits. He was always helping Roger out, but he was a top lad. He was a brilliant character. If you ever feeling a bit down, he'd always make a laugh over something.
Mike gave us his opinion of you, Dave.
Uh-oh. This doesn't sound good.
We know how brutal Mike can be.
Can I go now?
So, he described you as a brave rider who made light of his injuries, and also said that you were a shrewd observer of other riders and of Speedway in general. So, I mean, did you... Sometimes, when you're on the terraces watching the match and you have that love of Speedway, did you carry that through into your career as well? Were you still interested in the sport as a whole? Did you watch other teams? Did you watch the riders who were coming up?
Well, the years when I was doubling up and things like that, no, you haven't got time to do that. I very rarely got time to go to Bellevue, which I used to miss going to watch, especially on a Saturday night. I went when I did. But no, it's like when I was at meetings, I'd always study. I'll be studying our lads as well to see if I can help them, but I'll be studying opposition to see what line they take, how the track changes. I learned that very early on from watching. There was a certain rider called Ivan Major When I first started, of course, he was W, and he never said it. He'd just stand there, and he would watch anything and everything that was going on, and he would study everything and everyone, and how the track. But you have to watch him through the meeting. It's not usually the people can just gab and think about. But most of the top, I wasn't one of the real top lads, but most of the people are watching for where they can pass, where they pick the speed up, and also how the track's changing all the time, for changing gears and jettings and timings and everything. So you have to be really.
The questions are coming in thick and fast now, Dave. Ron King says, "Hi, Dave. I remember you never liked me taking photos of you not wearing a hat."
No, that has got. I'll tell you who started that off as Mike Patrick when I was down in Wolverhampton, because when I used to, as soon as I come in, obviously by that time Ian was sponsoring me, so I just used to put my hat on as soon as I took my helmet off, and it wasn't because of the fact I had a nice hairstyle. It was just a case of, if I walked off and was talking to someone, I wouldn't have my hat on. That's when photographs get taken of you in the pits. So I always just made sure that I was wearing the hat. And then one day he just said to me, "Can I take a picture of you without your hat?" And I went, "Yeah," and it shocked him.
So you had the nickname Tammy Trout. So we know where the Tammy came from. Was the Trout just a play on your surname?
Yeah, that was. I think PC told everybody when he come riding in, was it 77 or 78 they come, I'm not sure. I think the Trout probably was as well. I know somebody told him my nickname at school was Trout, yeah. The Tammy come about by a young little girl giving me that about halfway through the first season. And I kept it I still have it, but I kept it for quite a few years before, of course, I had to start wearing baseball caps to put sponsors' names on.
Brilliant. We've also got John Baxter, who says, "We remember you, Dave, from your Boston days. Always followed you, and good to see you on here."
Thank you.
Kenny Crichton says, "A mechanic for you at Milden Hall, and you're an absolute gent."
There's a lot of people call me worse.
We've got one from John Mitchell here. John Mitchell says he can't forget 1981 when the Monarchs started winning. Memories of our 18-point maximum versus Sheffield with against Sean Moran in the Interleague Cup, winning the fours and the Cup, and Neil Collins and Geordie Hunter. What memories do you have of all that, Dave?
Well, it was a brilliant year. Really, we should have won the league. We slipped up right near the end, but yeah, they were good. The confidence was right. As you know, Neil started the year before. I had a word with Doherty, and I had a word with Neil, and we got Neil to come up. Even though he was very young then, you could see how good he was going to be, and we got Neil to come to Edinburgh. And of course he just improved, as you know, dramatically, and took on from there. And then, of course, there was the experience of George. I mean, him and Neil at 1 and 2 were bloody awesome in that 81 season. And then me and Chris was a good partnership as well. It just worked right. Who was number 3? I think my mind's going.
I think it's one of my favourite seasons. I think it's one of my favourite seasons.
Yeah. It's like anything else. Whenever you're in anything, great for the supporters, great for the riders and everybody. No matter what sport you're in, when you're winning, you're enjoying it far better. We turned up every week. I don't mean you're not expecting to win, but I mean you know you're in with a good shout. No matter where we went, we was always in with a good shout.
The Sheffield match. Sorry, I was going to say the Sheffield match must have been a bit special as well, because that was. I don't think anybody expected Edinburgh to beat Sheffield at Powder Hall that night, and it was such a dramatic final race.
Well, we didn't expect to do that, and then we suddenly realised halfway through we was in with a shout, because Mort wasn't doing too badly, but he wasn't winning races all the time. He's only winning the odd one. Eric Broadbelt was struggling. There's Mark Fiora wasn't going too badly for them in reserve. Of course, the mainstay Sean. I wish I had half of his ability on a motorbike. He was absolutely brilliant, him and Kelly. But I don't know. I was just lucky enough to get the start on him, and I didn't get caught by him. But I've actually got a footage of that on a video. Did I say video? Yeah, video. On a videotape that a guy that used to attack a few of the matches early on, but it was on the centre green. And I was actually, I was, thank you. I was actually, I was actually in the centre green, and I was watching the last race, and I was stood near the camera, and then all of a sudden, when Sean Moran looked off the back, I know it was a bad thing to do. I started cheering. I was cheering for the result, not the fact that hoping Sean was all right. And I was on the recording was this beast shouting, "Yay!"
Well, Dave, you couldn't remember the helmet you won, and you couldn't remember the trailer coming off. So I certainly hope you remember who this person is. We've had a message from Sasha Sky. She says she's your granddaughter, and I've never actually asked this question, but what was your all-time favourite win of your Speedway career? It's a tough one, I bet.
Probably be meeting more than win. I suppose as win, you know, it's like individual. It's not the same. I won the world champion or nothing. Probably winning the league and winning the cup with Edinburgh. Winning the league with Reading and the cup with Edinburgh is probably as far as that goes. Individually, I never won that. I never won that many. I was always close in meetings, but I never won that. I think I won at Powder Hall over meeting. I think I remember winning one somewhere. I don't know. I've won a couple of open meetings in my time, but not many. Not many. I always used to go to meetings like these open meetings. We used to get invited to them, especially when you're riding all right. Yeah. And I used to experiment with my engines. Anytime I want to try out and set up differently to what I normally use, I would go to these meetings and use that to do it rather than to try. So that's probably why I didn't win anymore.
Mike Hunter is keeping us right, Dave. He says, Dave, when you beat Sean Moran, he passed you and you passed him back.
Oh, right.
There you go.
I must have shut my eyes when I went past him because I don't remember that one. I was probably going that bloody fast. I didn't realise. My braces must have been caught on the back of his bike.
With who would you say in your 11 seasons with the Monarchs, who would you say is the one rider that you could pick out and say, I'm really glad I rode with him. He's the one guy that was, whether it be inspirational or just an all-round good rider. Who would you say is the one that you could say, he was brilliant?
It's different categories, that, without going into details. Hello? What the hell's that?
It's up with us.
Oh, I know what it is. It's all right. It's the grandparents of the children to go online and speak to them. Wondered what the hell it was then. I mean, to ride with somebody with, I mean, the all-time Edinburgh rider comes in mind, actually. He was later on in his career, but he was just so awesome, Les. He was brilliant. I mean, I know I'd known him from a kid. I don't mean that. But that'd been the first time I'd actually rolled with him, as a teammate as well. And brilliant fella, brilliant professional, setting up bikes. Inspirational one. I'm not sure about that. I mean, when you're young, you've got a lot of people around you inspirational. I mean, like I say, when I started at Bellevue, there was PC was probably one of the inspirational because he's at the same age as us. But then you had, you had. I mean, at Bellevue, there was Major, there was all them there. You take your pick. There's no one really from when I was a kid as a supporter, so I think it's more a case of, to answer that, people I've rolled with, I think, that I've enjoyed riding with. There's a lot of them. From in the top division as well. I mean, there was John Davis and Dave Jessup and all them when I was at Reading, and Bobby Schwartz was brilliant. He was always a great help as well. So there's quite a few. Kenny Carter, actually, I know a lot of people didn't get on with Kenny, but I got on great at Halifax the year at Halifax. So there's a few.
There was a good mix at Powder Hall, wasn't there, of experience and young talent coming up. Do you think that's important to have that mix in a team, Dave?
What when you're talking about, do you mean later on, in the early 80s, you mean?
Yeah, in the early 80s, and then sort of like going through the Powder Hall years, there was often some great legends would come towards the end of their career and they'd be riding with some of the new younger guys that were coming up. Is that a good mix for a team, do you think?
Well, yes, it has to be, because you have to have someone with experience as well, don't you, around? You've seen it yourself with football teams and everything else. They've got a lot of talent, but you always need one in the middle of midfield or someone a general to, not only on the pitch, but also in the changing rooms, you know. But that guy has to have the right personality, as we were talking about being the captain before. As long as the guy's got the personality and wants to help people as well, give his advice, you know, from what he's learned, then you know it's great for the younger riders. But yeah, you are better with the you've got to have a mix, I think. Yeah.
Where were you based when you were riding at Powder Hall, Dave? I mean, was it a long drive for you every week?
Warrington.
Okay.
Where I am now.
Still the same place.
Yeah. Oh no, when I first started, no, I lived in Partington, which is where, you know, Peter's dad's farm was. I lived there. I moved here in the 81, I think I moved here.
Did you have a routine each week for getting up to Powder Hall?
Yeah, get there as fast as possible. If I could, once you know, I had a place to do my bikes and everything at Ian's. I mean, when I first started, obviously, you know, off Willing in '77, like I used to travel up on the Friday, and then the missus used to complain at me if I stopped. You know, she was saying, you know, she didn't realise how far it was to go there, do a meeting, and come straight back. But I mean, many a time, once I got established up there, and I used to stay with some fantastic people. I mean, we used to stay with Lynn and Willie up in Gorbidge, Newton Grange. You know, near the Cummins' shop, and Willie used to drive the tractor for quite a few years as well around the track. So I mean, I used to go up. A lot of times I would go up on the Thursday, so I'm not travelling on the Friday, and especially if I was having to come straight back down to ride somewhere on a Saturday, especially when I was in the top league as well. So that always helped then to sort of keep you not being tired. But I think the worst trip I ever did once, and I was actually on my own. I couldn't find anyone to help me. And I was at Ipswich with Reading on the Thursday night, and then I didn't know what to do. I had to go home and try and get about 3 hours sleep, do my bikes, and then go back up to Edinburgh or drive up to Edinburgh. I chose to drive to Edinburgh, and I got into bed at 6 o'clock in the morning. And then I was up again at 10:30 to start doing my bikes, because it was a bloody crappy meeting, wasn't it? The bikes were full of mud.
Barney Kennett says, "Hi Dave, hope you're well. You're a legend."
He's brilliant, old Barney.
Yeah, and Brian Thompson, legend for the Monarchs, you are, Dave. So they're coming in thick and fast now. Let's have a look. David Smith is back. Looking back on your earlier career, would you say it's more beneficial to change clubs to learn how to handle different track shapes and surfaces? And what element of riding the bike did you find most difficult to get to grips with?
Going fast. Learning how to ride. You have to adapt for it. Every track could be different every week. Sometimes Powder Hall was. I mean, that's why they always say that. I mean, luckily for us, we had Doc Bidget doing the track. So 90% of the time, Edinburgh was always the same every week. And he kept it that way. So you always knew. So you could always say. The main thing is to do with track conditions. I remember very early on in my career, I think it was either 77 or 78, we was at Workington. And they stuck bloody sand on the bends. And it just completely... I think I got 2 points. It can just completely wipe me out. It psyched me out. I've just gone, and I just when I'm driving home, and I just told myself there and then I had a big talk to myself and told myself never ever to do that again, which I never did. I mean, even to go and ride at bloody Blantyre. I mean, I'd rather took the scramble bike, but it was the old man beating used to do it on purpose. But, I mean, that's how it was. You had to get on with it. Sometimes you didn't want to go out, but you just had to do it, But the main thing is it's your setup as well. It's a lot of it's to do with the setups as well as your mind. Your mind's got to be right as well as your bike.
One of the things Mike has said, Dave, was that you were very underrated. But he also mentioned the injuries there. You'd lost the season when you were meant to be at Stoke. And I understand you broke both ankles 1 year after the other. Were injuries a problem that you had through your career, or were these the kind of main ones? And other than
that, the first one was probably the biggest problem I had, because it was only 3 months into riding at Bellevue, and someone dived underneath me. And of course, in them days, you didn't have the full chain, primary chain case. This had a bloody piece of metal that went over the top to stop dropping your foot onto the primary chain in them days. And someone came underneath me, pushed my foot into the primary chain, and I ended up in hospital in Devonshire Oil in Buxton for 6 months with that one. And that was because I had so little experience. That was probably affected me more than anything. It probably put me back probably 2 or 3 years of racing. I don't know what would have happened to my career if that hadn't have happened to start with. And so I had to get going from there again. It took the other ones. The worst one I probably had was the one at Powderhall in '74, because at the time I'd started the season off quite well. Was doing very well. I got into the semi-final of the World Championship, which was at Pearl, was only 2 weeks away. But I broke my tibia, my fibula, my ankle. I mean, it was that badly damaged. I was in the operating theatre for 11 hours and trying to put it back together. That was probably one that probably affected me as well the most, because I was then 30. I don't mean it affected me as confidence-wise. It was just a case of the time I was losing. Yeah. And it really put me back. Of course, earnings as well, because the following year as well, again, after that, with all the money you spend on equipment, for 2 seasons, I'd not even got the money back in that I'd spent, with having a family and everything, and not working, being on the sick, you're not getting enough money in. So I did struggle with that for about 3 years at that.
It's always baffled me with Speedway riders, they get the bad injuries. And I say it's baffled me. They've always been like, they just can't wait to get back on a bike. It's their nature, I guess. It's why they do what they do. Is there never a point when you get that? We spoke to Rory a few weeks ago when he broke his back. And do you ever get that point when you go, you're on the operating table for 11 hours? You never just go, no, I'm not doing this. It's not worth it. Or is that desire there? I want back on a bike as quickly as possible.
I didn't have it, no. Well, if you did, you wouldn't have got back on the bike. If you just said that's it, you'd have been silly to even consider getting back on the bike. Yeah. No, it's what I've always wanted to do. Probably I should have retired a couple of years earlier than what I did, actually. But in the end, though, when I did break my hip at Exeter in '88, and funny enough, I was actually starting to ride. It's probably the best I felt on a bike in probably 3 years. And just one of them freak accidents happened again, and I was really more gutted about that happening, not because I'd got an injury, the fact that I was actually, funny enough about Simon Cox being in touch, I was actually riding one of his ex Westlake Works engines, and I've never rode anything so fast in my bloody life. It was brilliant. It was absolute, and for Exeter, everyone was on GMs, but my last few years I just couldn't get on with GMs. That's the only reason that I probably ended up having to leave Edinburgh, because I wasn't riding good enough. If it had gone back to Westlakes, I would have still scored enough points, so they wouldn't have asked me to leave. And that hurts more than anything. And no one's ever heard that before. But it's true. If it had gone back to Westlakes or not gone off them, I would have still been at Edinburgh until I retired.
And how did that affect you, Dave, then, when you were asked? I mean, that must have been really emotional, because you devoted so many years to the.
I didn't get asked.
Were you told?
Does that make it worse?
Sorry?
Did that make it worse?
No, it didn't. I knew what brought it on. I wasn't stupid. No, I was just mad to the fact that I was leaving, because I wanted to end my career there. I would have gladly ended my career there, especially with Les and with having Les, Dougie Wine there at the time as well. It was brilliant. But no, I mean, I must admit though, I enjoyed going back and scoring 15.
Always the best way. How did you enjoy being because you went on to Exeter, obviously, and you were manager there as well, weren't you? How did you enjoy the management side?
It was okay. It was all right. Nothing. It was the wrong time for me. I should have had a complete breakaway from Speedway. Totally left it. I probably should. I enjoyed doing it. Don't be wrong. I enjoyed it, but it's very, very frustrating. It's a maddening job as well. You know, but I was good because I had a lovely gentleman, you all know him, called Neil Street, and he was always helping me out and advising. Well, I don't mean advising as such. If I dropped a boo-boo, he'd turn around and say, no, you don't do that, or you don't, you know, because he was there most weeks watching, because he lived around the corner from the track. And he was a lovely fellow. He's another lovely personality from Speedway. He was another one who was brilliant.
Why do you never really see many riders going from riding to management? It's not, you know, you think, oh, there, he's good, he'll be brilliant. And, you know, even looking at like guys like Peter Carr, for example, Edinburgh, a great rider at Edinburgh, has never ever went on to manage for, obviously, his own personal reasons. But why do you think more riders don't step into management?
You probably find a lot of them stay away altogether.
Yeah.
I did.
Yeah. And why do you think that is?
I think in the times, once I stopped managing, I probably could tell you on one hand, or maybe a little bit more, how many times I've been to the Speedway after I finished.
Yeah. Is it simply down to the fact that you're not riding, or?
Yeah.
If I'm going to be there, I want to go on the track.
You just love it. I enjoy doing things like this now. I mean, Mike, last when you had the 70th anniversary, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And he was at me all the time. I just couldn't get to any of them, and you know. But to be fair, this is the first time I've actually spoke to Edinburgh folk as such. Apart from Mike, I speak to Mike on the phone when I can. I just never speak. I've never spoke about my career. I never speak about it. Even the kids, that's what the granddaughter was falling about. I never speak to any of them. They've never seen a pictures of me ride or of anything. Once I stopped, I don't speak about it. This is the first time I probably spoke about it at length since 1990.
Well, we appreciate you coming on and speaking about it then. If that's the case, it makes it all the more special.
Oh, thank you. It's surprising so many people remembered me.
When you think back, Dave, does it still bring a smile to your face? And you know, I know it's been a while since you've been away, but do you still miss it?
No, yeah. What you miss now, of course, is the people, isn't it? The people you know, through the fans, through the people you met through the Speedway. Well, most of them anyway. It's just like they say with the football. You know, football always say the best thing you have to do is try and play as long as you can. People always ask why they play. Well, they play on because they know that they're going to miss it like hell when it's gone. You know, it's the same with that. I mean, going back to that question you asked me about the injuries, it was that one at Exeter, and I was actually in hospital, and the wife come down about 2 days later, and I turned around and said, "That's it," and that was it then. And that's the only time I ever said it. It wasn't because the injuries put me off. It's the fact that it just had to be enough. I had to break away from it then.
Well, we'll try and lighten the mood a wee bit here. Barney Kennett's asking, is that a slush puppy that you're drinking?
Slush puppy. To be honest, I don't know what the hell it is. It's green. Something the wife brought up for me, but I think it's one of them, what do you call it? You know, the fruit drinks. It's probably close. The wife drinks a slush puppy with a vodka in it.
Brilliant. Is there anyone in your time at Edinburgh that you'd like to thank for anything that they've done for you, or anything like that? Is there any people that, obviously you mentioned Mike there, that you... Well,
there's one straight off into Ian Snedden.
Yeah.
Because without Ian Snedden, I wouldn't have been able to ride all them years I rode.
Yeah.
He was absolutely brilliant. And lucky for Edinburgh as well, he's still been around all these years helping them to keep going, hasn't he?
Yeah, you still see him regularly in the pits and things like that as well.
Yeah, but he's one of the quiet people that help out Edinburgh, you know, behind the scenes that a lot of people don't know about. Yeah. No, he was. I mean, he was the main. He was the main. There's a lot of people like Mike. You know, Mike was always brilliant as well with you. if you're feeling a bit down the odd time, he'd be always one that'd look on the positive side and say, look, you're doing this, you're doing that, or whatever. Like, and God, I'm going to miss loads out, so I better not start naming everybody. I've missed too many out because there's been so many people at Powderhall over them 11 years, and you know, it was the best times out of my life most of the time, apart from when I was injured. I mean, that's. But no, Ian was the main one, and of course there was like him at Fun before, you know, the photographer. We had great times with him as well.
Caroline, Dave, Caroline says that you're drinking the kids' Superwoman drink. That's what they call it.
Thank you very much for that, Caroline. I didn't want to say.
And Scott Trownson says we are very proud of what you achieved in Speedway, and there's some great memories there.
Of course, he was lucky enough. Scott and I, David, they had a couple of years. Lisa had started school, the oldest one, my daughter, and they had 2 years where they used to travel around in the back of a Citroen with. Can you imagine the health and safety now? They're in the back before they started school, because David, the oldest one, kicked up like hell when he had to start school. He just wanted to carry on traveling around the country, because at the time it was when I was doing Edinburgh and Reading. So with Caroline working, half the time they went to after meetings with me. They were all over the country, and I had babysitters everywhere. I had babysitters at Edinburgh. I had babysitters at Edinburgh, at Reading. Oh God, everywhere.
Did they never fancy taking up Speedway, Dean?
Funny enough, they were both. They had bikes from being about 6 years old. They were both had more ability on a bike when they were 14, 15 than when I turned professional. Yeah, they were very good on bikes. Yeah.
John Mitchell says, "What have you been up to since retiring from Speedway? You're looking well, but when did the moustache go?"
I don't know. Late 80s, I think when I was ended up, I'm not sure if it was still there when I was actually to the manager. I don't know when it went. It must have been in the 90s sometimes. I think. I give up being a porn star.
That was a very 70s moustache, wasn't it?
Brilliant. Well, Dave, it's been a pleasure. We're coming to the end of the hour there. It's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you and get some memories from your time for 11 years, certainly, at the Monarchs and on all those years as the skipper. So thanks for joining us. And as you said, you haven't really spoken much about it since you retired. So we appreciate you coming on and having the chat with us.
No, you're very welcome. Thanks for having me.
Dave,
I'm going to say, if there's any time, if you're stuck for someone again, as long as I'm at home, if you need me, I'll always have another go. I don't mind.
Yes, Dave, as somebody said, you were Mr. Powder, and it's a pleasure to have you here.
Oh, thank you very much. It's a welcome. I'm just honored that you've asked me, because I thought most people forgot about me by now.
David Smith says he always thought the moustache was part of the hat.
Could have been.
Where do you get this David Smith guy on? He's got a bit of patter.
I know.
Well, Dave, thank you very much. Sorry, you were going to say?
I was going to say, it's weird how a Tammy Gat can cause so much conversation, isn't it?
No, listen, it's been an absolute pleasure to speak to you, Dave. So thank you for coming along. We're back on Friday with another EMTV Rewind. I think it's Hull from 2004. Memory serves me right. And we'll be back next Sunday at our usual time of 12. Dave, I've had to work today, so hence the 6 o'clock show. So thank you for being able to change and accommodate me around my work there. So I do appreciate that as well. But we'll be back at the normal time of 12 o'clock next Sunday for another Sunday lunch. Dave, thank you very much.